Hello, hello. This is Amber Gallon, or Galoon, however you want to pronounce it. And I'm here with Kimberly Casmer.
Hi there.
And we are here to answer any of your questions that you have about being a LuLaRoe consultant. And we just kind of wanted to talk about the company in general. LuLaRoe, for those of you who maybe are interested and have no idea what exactly we do or how to get into it or how much it costs, or any of that, you're welcome to ask any questions. There should be a little box to the right that looks kind of like a chat room. And you should be able to chat in anything you want. So maybe if you pop into the room at any point, you can just say here, and then we'll get started. We have 0 viewers at the moment. So Kim and I can talk to each other. I'm just going to post a little link up on our Tell Me More page just to let some people know that we're live. And I heard a little sound. Is that good? Random.
I think that was me.
Just you.
Yeah, that was my Facebook.
So I don't know how this, if somebody pops in, I don't know how up to speed it is with people.
Okay.
But this is going to be posted to YouTube later. So I'm just going to start talking as though you are just tuning in to watch us right now, wherever you are. And if you come in at any time, you can say hello. So LuLaRoe is a direct sales company, unlike any direct sales company I've ever been a part of. When I joined initially, I didn't want something that I would ever have to bother people with. I didn't want something that I would have to cold call my friends and be like, come buy this thing I'm selling. I've never had to do that with LuLaRoe. People go crazy for our clothes. And it's been so alluring to other moms who are looking to start businesses, or just women in general who are looking to start businesses, that we've had a lot of requests for it lately. So we're just here to share with you how we got started. I got started because I was on Instagram one day just perusing, and I was kind of at the point in my life where I needed a new wardrobe, and I found just a random friend. She wasn't a friend then. She was a random Instagram person I followed, who I probably followed through a homeschool hashtag, and she posted a picture of her and some friends wearing really cute clothes and said something about LuLaRoe, and I was like, what? But I just felt compelled to check out what it was, and I chatted with her on the phone, and within 2-3 days, I signed on as a consultant. The business model was just solid, and that's part of why I became a consultant. Maybe Kimberly wants to share how she got hooked on LuLaRoe.
I was added to, it was right after you had just started, Amber, actually, and I was tagged in some random contest. You were giving away, tag a friend and get something, and I actually won a ... smile dress back in May. So it must have been one of your very first giveaways. And I got the dress, and I loved it, and I thought it was adorable, and it was the end of the summer, end of the school year, and we were getting ready for vacation, and my husband was having surgery, and summer happened like it normally does. Then my husband and I had just talked more and more about what I wanted to do. I used to teach, and I used to be a supervisor at a mortgage company, and I wanted to be at home with my girls, just to be able to see them grow, help with homework. But the reality of needing 2 incomes for our family, it was just becoming more and more obvious. So I think it was just, at end of September, Amber, you were posting more about it, and I just thought, well, I just need to find out more, just figure out what it was all about. And I think in a matter of a week, I think that's kind of when I said, okay, we're going to just take this leap forward. And yeah, it was definitely not your typical direct sales. That was what was the selling point for me. I didn't want to sell the same stuff, and I'm not selling the same stuff. And so it's been good. So I've been doing this now for officially, from my launch date to now, 4 months, and it's been definitely an incredible ride.
So I'm getting word that some people are having trouble joining this webinar. So I'm just kind of updating the link and seeing if a different link works.
Okay.
The first time using this program, so we're a little bit. Did anybody join in? Maybe that one doesn't work yet either. Little bit new at this, so we'll figure it out in a second. Yay, it works. So Melissa, are you joined here with us? Yes, we have one viewer. Yay, we're live.
Ooh.
All right, so we were just talking a little bit about how we got into LuLaRoe and kind of how we got hooked. And I think, Melissa, you probably already know that story, but if not, you can watch it later on YouTube because we already talked about it. But we are here to answer any questions that you guys have about LuLaRoe, about the business, about our experience so far. I've been doing this for almost 10 months now. Kimberly, I think you've been doing it for 4-ish?
4 months. 4 months.
Yeah, 4 months. So we are both kind of in LuLaRoe, like 4 months, 10 months. That's a long time. That's a lot of learning already. Hopefully I have the right link here now. Yeah, we're getting viewers. Yay. Okay. So if you are here, maybe you can just comment on the right side here so we know who you are. Say your first name. So we know kind of who's attending on the chat. So Melissa's here. Mogan's here. I'm guessing that's Morgan. Good job, Morgan. I love it.
You are a fast typer tonight, Morgan.
All right, so if you have any questions at all for us, like you've been dying to know this about LuLaRoe, from the financial side, from the lifestyle side, anything at all, now is the time to type them in and let us know. So LuLaRoe, how it works is a lot of women will ask, oh, can I just order these clothes from you, or where's the catalog? Hi, Kara. We don't have a catalog, and that's kind of the fun part about it. We only make, I think now it's like 2,800 or something of every print, which is still so tiny.
2,500. I think someone just showed a.
Yeah. So it used to be 1,000 of every print that they would make. Now we have, that was back when there was like only 1,000 consultants. So we've grown quite a bit, and it's not as like doable to only make that few because they would just be turning out crazy amounts of prints. So they make a couple more now that they spread out across consultants, a lot more consultants. It's still really, you're highly unlikely to get a print that like everybody else has. It's not like Target where there's, millions of that print across the United States. It's still going to be a super rare grab for prints. So 2,500 is nothing. You still have a highly unique garment. That kind of sets us apart from other retailers because we only have a rare amount of these prints, and we don't get to pick which prints we get in stock, so you never know.
It's a good thing.
Wait, so Mogan, who's Mogan? Is that Morgan?
Morgan.
I love it. Yeah, so the kind of unique thing about LuLaRoe is you never know what you're going to get at a party, and so that is part of the appeal for customers, is that they can come to a party and it's going to be a total surprise what's there, but they know that they're getting their reliable cuts of clothing. So we have different styles. The Nicole dress is a style. The Azure skirt is a style. That's always cut the same, but just in different materials, different prints. So there's something for everybody. We serve every single size. And we are pretty affordable. Our clothes aren't, I always tell people our clothes aren't Walmart, but they're also not Anthropologie. We're somewhere in the middle. We're affordable and we're unique at the same time, and we fit everybody. So it's kind of this awesome, works for everyone. People who normally hate direct sales parties, myself included, are intrigued by LuLaRoe because it's something that everybody likes. Everybody likes clothes. Not everybody likes candles or Tupperware, And our parties are fun because we bring an entire store to your living room, and you can shop right there. How it works for us consultants then is we each carry an entire store worth of inventory. So we're not carrying a catalog. We're not paying a join fee of $99 and then carrying a catalog with a couple of representational things. We are legitimately carrying everything we sell. So people who come and shop with us, if they find a print that they like in a size that they like, they can buy it right there and wear it home that same evening. There's no hunting down stuff for people. It's just what you have, you sell, and then you get more to replace it. We outright own what we buy. So we buy everything at wholesale. We sell everything at retail. The markup on that is about 45 to 60%. So I think it's 30 to 60% with about an average of 45%. Is the profit margin on those. Last number I heard, they said $19 on average markup per item. It varies. So some of the more expensive items will double in price, and there'll be like a $30 markup, but maybe you paid $30 to get that item. Whereas some, it's maybe a $7 item that you doubled in price. So it's only a $7 markup. So, excuse me. So does anybody have any questions about, I know when I first joined LuLaRoe, I was confused because I said, why is the join fee so high? I thought that, you paid $5,000 just to be a consultant, like that you were paying $5,000 for the name. You're legitimately paying $5,000 for $5,000 worth of clothes that will arrive on your doorstep in 5 or 6 or 7 huge boxes. Kimberly, yes. So somebody said, do you have any other jobs? I know Amber's work-home life situation.
I go by Kimberly, but you can call me Kim if you want. I do not work a regular job outside of home. I do babysitting during the week. I was doing a little bit of that off and on. That's not my thing. And I was doing childcare. My husband's a pastor in Brookfield, Wisconsin, and so we have a school there, and they offer childcare. So I was doing childcare there too, also once a week. And again, just wasn't my thing at all. I just wanted to be home. I didn't want to watch other people's kids. But that being said, I volunteer like crazy. I do the Mornings with Mom group at our church. That's twice a month. I only lead now every other month with that. And then my oldest daughter has some special needs, so I am usually running her to therapy or doctor's appointment at least once a week. And my kids are 6, 3, and 2. So really young, and so between school and then volunteering and babysitting now a couple times a week, I feel like my schedule is full, and then being a pastor's wife as well. So my husband's not home a lot, like tonight. He's at a delegate meeting, so I was doing bath time with the kids and putting them to bed by myself again. So that's my kind of home life situation.
Yeah, I think everybody who signs up with LuLaRoe starts with a completely different situation. We have a couple of teachers. Teachers seem to be a common job that become LuLaRoe consultants, probably because they don't pay teachers enough money for as much work as they're doing, but we won't get into that. We have a couple of teachers who join in. We have a couple of people who start out. A lot of teams will be like 2 people with full-time careers who just switch off. I know Morgan, who's in here, her and her mom both work other jobs. I do daycare during the day, and I have my kids and I homeschool during the day. So what I can do during the day with LuLaRoe is limited. Most of my stuff is this time of night. I do evenings and nights. I've also, when it got too busy, I hired an assistant who comes twice a week for 12 hours a week to do a lot of my busy work, because things like packing and shipping and could easily take up all my evenings. So she comes during the day, whether I'm home or not, 2 days a week, and just does all that busy work for me. In the beginning, I did it all, and I just pulled a lot of late evenings and weekends. So my parties would be like twice a week in the evening, or all day Saturday. I do like 3 parties back to back. I usually have a weeknight evening, like a Thursday evening online party. You got to take pictures of your stuff before that. So that's something like I will have my assistant take all the pictures and do all the shipping and packing for that. And I actually run the party and then do a lot of the follow-up emails. You only have to sell. Yeah, Morgan says, I work full-time in product development, and my LuLaRoe partner, my mom, works at Hobby Lobby. So you can all see the chat on the side, right? I don't need to read them aloud. Like reading it. I don't know if this is when this saves for YouTube later. I don't know if it'll be on there. Yeah, so a lot of people start LuLaRoe with so many different life situations, and a lot of people end up quitting their other jobs once they get rolling with LuLaRoe if they want to. They don't have to, but it's definitely something where once you get rolling and you're making enough money that you can, it's just a matter of how many parties you want to schedule. Andrea says, hi, I'm a friend of Melissa's. Hi, Andrea.
Andrea.
Are you thinking of going into the business with Melissa, Andrea, or just considering it separately from her? We have a lot of, Kara says, I work full-time, 50 hours at a global financial service provider as a project manager working from home. Yeah, Kara has a unique job where she works from home already. So this kind of fits in. It's easier to fit around, well, maybe not, but another work from home job. We have, it's so common that other people have other jobs when they start this kind of business that we have Facebook groups dedicated to LuLaRoe consultants with careers outside of LuLaRoe.
Yeah, possibly. Andrea says, yeah, possibly.
Yeah. So when you join as a team, there's pros and cons, and maybe we'll have a couple of our teams do a webinar in the future about those pros and cons. Just kind of warning you, because we got a couple awesome teams on our team. That makes sense. A couple LuLaBird teams. But yeah, the biggest pro is just the initial investment, you know, is split in half. So it's half as expensive for both of you. The biggest con is probably just figuring out time management between the two of you. Like, you have to figure out, make sure you're doing even work, or at least per agreement, and then coordinating when, you know, who's going to do what and where and why. Sometimes that's an extra burden in and of itself.
And then also your income once you start, you know, getting to be that profitable stage, knowing like what is equitable across the board to both parties. That's something you would probably, if you are going to do a team, you want to make sure you have that figured out ahead of time before you get rolling.
Right. So with that $5,000 investment, another question that people commonly ask of us is how long does it take to pay yourself back? And most people, I mean, in terms of just making that money, like selling $5,000 worth of product, most people do that well within a month. Like their first month, they sell $5,000 worth of product. Like, that's not hard at all. The challenge is just because it's a 45% profit margin. So if you sell $5,000 worth of product, you know, let's just say 50% to make it easier for math. Maybe you're making like $2,500 or $2,000 on that, where you're investing half, so $2,500 back into your inventory to replace what you sold at wholesale, and then you're taking the rest, and you're like, what do I do with this? Do I buy more inventory and kind of beef up my inventory, which is a strategy some people take? Do I just throw that all into the credit card and then just, or whatever you use to start your investment, and just kind of only replace what I sell until I, you know, get to the point where I'm debt free? Or do I pay myself and just let that credit card roll, which I wouldn't recommend. It's kind of personal preference. So some people prefer to only carry, they say, I'm only going to carry 4 or 5 styles. That's all I can really handle. I'm just going to sell what I have. And, you know, my customers will get used to it, that I'm the Nicole dress girl. And that I'm not planning to carry Julia's or Amelia's, you know, that's me. That's what I do. You can do that. That can be your business model. Or you can decide, I'm going to try to carry all or almost all of the inventory, and I'm just going to pour everything into more inventory until I beef it up to a point where, like, I'm selling tons of inventory. Because I do find that the more styles you carry, the more likely you are to have more sales. So if you carry a bunch of styles, you'll have bigger parties. So it's kind of a trade-off. I personally took the route where I beefed up my inventory. I hit the green as my business, where, you know, our debt to our income was in our what am I trying to say?
Your investment.
Yes, my investment was paid down. I hit that at about 5 months in. I probably when I joined, we had something called consignment, where LuLaRoe would give us some inventory kind of for free, but we owed them. So they were basically our free credit card at the time for half of our investment. And the expectation was that you were going to pay that down within 3 to 4 months. And so I had to pay that down within 3 to 4 months. And then it was another month before I got the rest of my credit card paid down. Most people hit it about 4 to 6 months in.
Melissa,
we order inventory the following day and have that in hand the following week, or how long do shipments take to arrive? It kind of depends on where in America you're located. I find that in the Midwest, it takes about a week after you put your shipment in to get it. So 7 days on a good week. If there's something, you can also do you can pay a little extra for 3 days shipment, but they still have 48 hours to get that out of the warehouse. So it might come in 5 days, depending on how big that is. And then
her question about reordering inventory. Melissa, what I think most of us do is after a party, we try to order as soon as we sell 25 pieces, and then you're expected to order a minimum of 33 pieces because we get free shipping. So anytime you sell 25 pieces, you're going to want to order 33 because then you're covering what you sold and then also adding a little bit more to your inventory just to help it grow. And it just depends on the party. I've had some parties, especially when I was first starting out, where I was it was 5 items. So it took 2 or 3 sales before I actually put an order in. Now I pretty faithfully put in at least 1 order a week. It's usually this past week. I did 2 orders. I did a smaller order and then I recounted my inventory and then okay, I want it back to this stage here. So yeah, I ended up putting 2 orders in this week. And then Kara asks about beefing up your inventory. Well, I guess that kind of just depends on what you're comfortable with. I think when you start out, it's 350, 400 pieces, right, Amber? Yep. I would say, you can see my room. This is my basement. I can, not to make anyone seasick. So I have racks. My leggings are over there. I don't know if you can see them. And then I have another rack over here. My goal is to actually have between around 800 pieces. That's kind of my ideal situation for me, because then I'm not lugging everything. I can pick and choose and start tailoring for parties. I have a party on Friday, and they're leggings addicts. So I would like to be able to have enough inventory where I could just say, I'm only going to do tops and leggings at this, pop-up and just a few dresses. So that's what I think about when I think about beefed up. I don't know what you think about, Amber.
Yeah, I would say once you hit about 700 pieces is when things really start rolling smoothly in terms of when I first started with 300 so pieces, I would constantly be paranoid I was going to sell out of things. So I would have one party and they really rated the Nicole dresses, and all of a sudden I'm I need more Nicole dresses before my next party. Now that I have, I usually carry between 700 and 1,000 pieces at any given time. It varies depending on how things are going. But I have found that when I'm over 700, I have a lot more wiggle room. I can put, 4 out of 6 prints I have up online if I want. I can tailor, like Kimberly said, and I can withhold stuff. So your question, if you have multiple parties in a week, do you put out all your inventory each party? Yeah, you can tailor it. I usually reserve leggings. So if I'm gonna have a couple parties where I know and I only have I don't know, 40 pairs of leggings or something, I may only bring half to the first party just in case.
And I do that too for online, because we will have, Lula customers who just look for patterns. I will purposely not put out all my prints online. Knowing if I have a couple online parties in a row, I will hold a handful back. That way when they do come back, they'll see something new and increase the chances of them purchasing more.
Yeah, if you choose to put in a huge shipment, especially with online customers, because I feel like they memorize your prints by sight and get used to your pictures, and so they might see the same pictures over and over again and then just get bored. So if I put in a huge shipment, let's say I ordered 200 pieces, I wouldn't put all 200 up online, because then at the beginning of the month, because then the next sale they're going to be like, oh, nothing's new, and just walk away. So I always want to have something new, especially with online parties. In-person parties, I find that the customer base isn't always the same as online. So they haven't necessarily seen my online prints. They're usually like somebody's mom and her sister and her neighbor and like brand new people. So for the most part, even with straight up LuLaRoe addicts who are coming to my in-person parties after shopping with me online, they see my in-person prints. They don't always notice even that they're the same. They always find something new. They're like, oh, this looks totally different than what it looked like online, or I love the colors in person, or they're like, oh, I never saw this before. And I'm like, yes, you did. I just put it up on Tuesday, but it's different. So one thing I wish I would have known from the start is not to panic when I think I don't have enough prints, or I think like I have nothing new and I haven't ordered in a week. Especially if it's like online versus in person, it's always going to be, people are always going to find something that they didn't notice before. Something I wish I would have done from the start that I just started doing now is, rather than think about, because it is hard to time orders, you're like, when do I have a party and how much am I going to sell? And I don't know. And should I order ahead? And I wish that from the start, I would have just thought about, okay, how many pieces do I want to sell per month? And then put myself on an ordering schedule. And that's something I'm doing now. And you do maybe need a little bit extra financial wiggle room just to manage it. But let's say, so you want to sell 200 pieces per month. Then you would say, okay, well, I need to sell 50 per week. So that's about an order and a half per week that you would need to be putting in. You would need to have 50 coming in a week. So maybe you say, okay, I'm just going to order, 2 orders, or so an order and a half per week, like how many orders per month is that? And so then you can just kind of figure out like, okay, then I need to order this many times per week, and I'm going to order every Tuesday or something. So if you can just space your orders out, then you're always going to have something new coming in. Rather than, I know it's hard because you kind of have to wait for your money sometimes before you can put in an order. But if you do have a little bit of extra financial wiggle room, either on your card or whatever, put yourself on a schedule and say, I'm going to order this much. And then you kind of know too, like, okay, well, how many parties do I have to book to sell that much? And after you do a few parties, you'll kind of get a sense of what your average is at parties. So you can say, okay, if I'm going to do 200 pieces a month, that's going to be about 2 parties a week, let's say. So you say, okay, so I'm going to try to book 2 parties a week. And then you book 2 parties a week. Maybe you book a couple extra ones for good measure. So do you keep track of the incoming and outgoing pieces, or do you not need to keep specific track of everything? You don't have to keep specific track of everything for tax purposes. You don't. We talked to our accountant, and he said everything comes out in the wash. So all you really need is your starting inventory value, your year-end inventory value, your sales reports, and your expense reports. And they can figure out through those numbers how much your shrinkage has been, so how much your tax-deductible loss or giveaways, etc., has been. A giveaway for tax purposes counts the same as like a theft. So if something's ever stolen, you can be like, well, give that one away. So I don't keep track. Some people do, though. They like to know exactly what they have. Some girls on our team, they actually numbered each item. I think even on the tag, they just wrote a number. So like every item that comes into their home has a number. So like item number 4 may still be with them in a year from now, whereas they're on item 3000 with other things.
And Amanda, also to that question, that was one of the things my husband was concerned about, was tracking. So he is actually, this is going to be our spring break project. We're taking pictures anyways of all the inventory for online sales. He is looking at an app, and then we're going to order barcodes so that we will tie a picture with this barcode specific to the item. And so when I ring people up, whether it's online or in home, it will move it from this certain spreadsheet to a sold spreadsheet. That way I have a physical representation that something was moved. He's a very visual person, and he does not like the idea of, well, how come you don't know exactly what sold?
Yeah.
It's understandable. So that's his project. That's how he's going to help me with this and keep track of the inventory. Yeah.
It's really personal preference with how much you feel like you need to know about your inventory at any given time. So like if you're a person who just needs to know, like you need to know the numbers, like Kimberly's husband, like he just wants to know, like, then you can come up with a tracking system. For tax purposes, you don't. My inventory moves so fast, like things come in and they might come out the door that same evening, that I more look at it as like a volume than a individual item thing. So I compare my sales to my expenses, to my income, to my like overall volume, not piece by piece. And the other thing is that LuLaRoe, though, if you look at our tags, they already have barcodes, and that is because our Audrey app is eventually going to be able to scan the barcodes to check people out. So you'll be able to take your phone and just be like bleep 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 when you need to check people out. And I'm sure that the inventory tracking will be tied into that as well. So I'm also a little reluctant to like come up with a huge system, only to have our developers come up with an Audrey system.
My husband's inconsistent.
You can, and that's the great thing about different consultants is we all do things slightly different ways, and we have the freedom to, and we can look at each other's suggestions and say, yeah, I'm not going to do that one, or oh, that's such a good idea. So which party feels like more work? The prep loading mailing for online or hauling things to an in-home?
It depends on the day. The in-home, it's probably good when you're done at the end of the day because you're done. The loading of the van, I have to move at least 2 car seats and load. I usually load everything in the van myself. My husband's usually not home to help me with that. The online is nice because I'm home, but when it's packing, and I don't have an assistant that helps me with the packing. My husband kind of helps me, but it's easier for me to just do it myself. So it depends on the day. I would say they both have their strengths and they both have their weaknesses. And Kara asked what does better, in-home or online. I think it just also depends on the consultant. I normally do better in-home. Like, that's kind of where I usually hit 30, 50 pieces. My online, I really struggled with, but I got some feedback. I had Jess Wooler, who's, a LuLaBird. She watched one of my online parties for me because I just said, "You rock this. What am I doing wrong?" And she just gave me all these tips. And so my online numbers have gone extremely up since she's given me some positive feedback and some constructive criticism that I could really use.
For me, am I going for you too, or is that just me? Okay.
A little bit.
For me, my online does way better financially than my in-home, but it does take, like, an average online sale will take 2 to 3 days of post sale follow-up with people. So people will still be messaging me 2 to 3 days later. And it's not like 2 to 3 days of solid work, but 2 to 3 days later, I'll still be fielding questions like, did my package ship yet? Or can I trade? Can I exchange this? Because there's a lot more exchanges online because people didn't get to try stuff on. In-home, yeah, the hauling in and out is probably the worst part. I always say it's my free workout. I always have the expectation that my hostesses and their husbands, if they're available, are going to help me, and their guests are going to help me load in and out. And I haven't had anybody not help me yet.
That's good.
But luckily, people they always say, "Oh, how do you do this every party?" I'm like, "I don't. You help." So my husband does help me load up, but I have done it a few times all by myself, and that's never any fun. But it is a free workout. So online is definitely the picture taking and then the time and the follow-up, and you spend like all evening. But I'm huge on efficiency, so I've adopted a lot of things that make my onlines a lot more efficient, and that's helped a lot too. There's programs out there, shipping things like Shipping Easy and Google Forms have saved my butt, and just streamlined shipping processes. We were like shipping one way, it wasn't working for a while in certain bags, and it was time consuming, and so all the time we're getting more streamlined. Okay, so doesn't Audrey keep track of how many leggings, Irmas, etc. you sell? it doesn't have sales reports or inventory reports yet. No, so you can't go in there and say, oh, look, I've sold 500 Irmas so far this year. Like there's no features like that. They're coming. Right now, all it does is you input like 50 Irmas, and then every time you sell one, the number will go down. So you can see, in theory, if you update all those numbers correctly, you can see how many you have at any given time. And then when you buy new ones, the number updates and goes back up. So let's say you sell them down to 20 pieces and then buy 10 more, it'll go back up to 30. But there's no fun charts yet. I'm sure they're coming. I want to know. I want to know what my bestseller is. Do people try on the clothes a lot at in-home parties? It really depends on the crowd. I feel like that's the idea of in-home parties. And when I first started selling, I was a little bit too like, whatever you want with my customers. And now when they come in, I say, okay, here's a Cassie skirt. Go try this on. Tell me if you like the size. I'm a little bit more, not aggressive, but suggestive. Because one of my customers told me, she said, I don't think you realize, and I don't think consultants realize how much customers like want to be sold to. They came all the way out to this party. They want to know what the clothes are, how they fit, what their size is, like the special features of this one, what's this fabric. They want to know all of that. And so kind of feeling more comfortable with that. She said, but then you need to shower before the party. Yeah. Whew. Sometimes I wear like non-LuLaRoe to the party and then just I like strip down to my, especially in the summer, strip down to my leggings and a tank top and then put on some clothes. The nice thing is you have a full closet of clothes at your disposal. Yeah, we have, so like the LuLaBirds, every once in a while we exchange ideas for getting ladies to try things on at parties, different games, different incentives that you can do. You can have them, you know, do A, B, and C, take a selfie in something they wouldn't normally try on, or suggest an outfit to a friend, put an outfit together for a friend. Sometimes people who feel uncomfortable for themselves will feel fine suggesting somebody else try something on, and then after they see their friend try it on, they're like, okay, maybe I could try something on. So it depends on the crowd. I've had parties where like people just like mob the clothes and they're like stripping in the living room trying to try things on and then tearing things off each other's bodies. And then I've had parties where everybody's kind of standing there drinking their wine like, so. So it really just kind of depends on the vibe.
And it also depends on the hostess too. Like I have found that my more active hostesses who are pulling the things off the racks and saying, Susie, you need to try this on, or I thought about you and this. Those parties are where you see a lot of, you know, a lot more sales, a lot more interest, where someone will come back to you and say, oh yeah, I do want to book a pop-up from you now. And you just have to remember that it is a boutique. You know, you are bringing this mobile boutique, and so the customers want to be treated like they're in, you know, a high-end boutique. And so, yeah, suggest and talk to them and, you know, manhandle their bodies. I'll always ask first, can I touch you? And, you know, and then I'll adjust the skirt or adjust the dress so it fits and is a little bit more flattering. Or I, too, I'll strip down my accessories and say, here, with that Amelia, you should wear this belt. And, you know, I'll be like half naked, you know, during a pop-up because, you know, they're like, I really like this belt. Can I keep it with me so I can try it on with other stuff? I'm like, sure, go right ahead. And
yeah, I find that if I am having customers who are uncomfortable trying things on, every time I go to a pop-up, I wear a black tank top and black leggings, like something that I can like strip down to basically that. And then I will throw on items with tags still on them. I'll say, this is the Nicole dress, and I'll put it on, and I'll just walk around the room talking about it. And half the time people want to try on what's been on my body, which is, we always say it's hilarious the first time you sell an item off your body. But ladies just like, it's something about, the other thing I find too is once women have a print and they like put it in their bag or they put it on their arm, or like there's something about touching clothes that makes you want to own them. And so if it's, you just need to get women to touch them. You need to get them to touch them and put them on their bodies, and then they'll be willing to touch more, yeah. Put more on their bodies, and then buy them. What is the item that is easiest to sell, and what is the item that is hardest to sell?
For me, the hardest item would probably be the Amelia. Like especially online, people just don't, because you can't be there. Like, I feel like the Amelia, you need a belt with the Amelia. I always wear my Amelia with a belt, and I feel like that puts it together. And so that is the one dress that I get returned to me more often than any other item. The easiest item is probably actually the classic tee. Like, people they love it. I mean, the Irmas are great, but the classic tee is, it's a classic. And so it's the easiest thing for a first-time buyer, I feel like.
Yeah, for me, it changes seasonally and just randomly. All of a sudden, there'll be a mad rush on some item that I wasn't expecting. Like right now, all these people are asking about Julia dresses out of the blue. Whereas, during Christmas season, I was selling a ton of Amelia's because everybody wanted like a fancy holiday party dress. And now people are like, where are the Julias? It kind of always seems to be like whatever I'm low on. That's exactly what they want. Whatever I don't have a lot of, that's what they want. In person, out of the dresses, the Nicole is usually the easiest to fit most people. Some people will try and Julia say, oh, it's way too tight and unflattering. And other people will try and Amelia say, oh, it looks maternity, or oh, I don't like the pleats, or oh, it's hitting me in the wrong part of the waist. But Nicole is probably the easiest sell out of the dresses. Out of the skirts, Audrey's kind of the easy, breeziest, simple to understand skirt, but it's also not, it's hard to wear in a flattering way because you have to put it right in the small of your waist. And so some women will put it low on their hips and they'll be like, I don't like this at all. So it's hard to like explain to people how to wear it. The Cassie, I feel like, looks awesome on everybody. Some people are scared of it because it's tight and they are like, oh, I'm not a pencil skirt girl. I don't work in an office or something. But Madison, some people are afraid of the pleats. So everything has something where it's like, depending on the customer, they're going to be like about it or they're going to love it. And it's hard to predict. When Kimberly signed up, I said, oh, maybe don't start with Lucy skirts because I haven't sold any in a while. They're kind of a harder sell than the maxi. They're like lacy and not everybody likes lacy. And she was like, oh, no, I'm going to start with them because you can wear them like a dress and there's so many different things you can do. And she sold like 6 at her launch party. And I was like blown away because I hadn't sold any in months. And part of that was just the colors I happened to carry. So, and the fact I hadn't really given them attention. So I feel like whatever you love to wear a lot and you talk about a lot is what you're going to sell the most of. I sold a ton of Cassie skirts after I I did like a trifecta challenge where I had people wear Cassies with a tunic and leggings. And something after that, like all of a sudden Cassie skirts were crazy sellers because they're like warm for winter and add a little extra something between your leggings and your tee without being. Yeah, so do you guys have any other questions? We want to do more of these chats kind of with a different focus every time. I would love different suggestions on our Tell Me More page wall for things that you want to hear about. So rather like different perspectives, different types of consultants can definitely get on these chats. I just wanted to share a little bit tonight about our business and kind of our experiences with it and answer any questions. If there's no other questions, we'll probably end for tonight and come back next week, possibly also on Wednesday. We'll get somebody else on here talking to you about something different. So if you want to just write your suggestions on the LuLaRoe Tell Me More page that we have, and we can go from there for topic suggestions and hopefully answer any more questions that you all have. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Bye.